Hey guys, it's Izzy, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how to improve your grades slash how to get your shit together slash it's grind time baby, so let's go. I literally went from getting C- on my test to getting A's. We're going to talk about that. I know you guys are probably like, I already study literally so much and don't get the grades that I want. Bro, I literally feel you. That was me literally so much freshman year, but I figured it out, okay? And I'm going to share that knowledge with you guys. I mean, if you have straight A's already, I hope that you stay here for me just because... Give this video a thumbs up, comment down below, anything you want, subscribe if you want to. Yeah, okay, let's get on to the video. The first things I'm going to talk about might sound like really repetitive, but they're just kind of important. And then after this, I'm going to talk about specific ways that I have changed my study habit, how I study for each class, tests, and stuff like that. The first thing is you just have to remember that one grade just doesn't define you, and if your past grades haven't been that good, that doesn't mean that this grade automatically is going to be bad. Remember, statistically, past results are not a predictor of future results. I don't know if that's true. Don't quote me. AP Stats is... What I do a lot of times is I'll pretend nothing is put into the gradebook yet. I haven't had any past mistakes or failures to not have bad grades, so it's there's no reason to continue. No, everything's fresh every test, so do your best and don't let past mistake stay in your mind. Hey, I'm not good enough. I'm not gonna get that grade ever. I'm not smart enough. I'm too stupid. That is not the case. You can literally do anything you put your mind to, and you just have to remember that. At the same time, remember your past mistake. This might sound a little contradictory, but they work in their little ways. If we get our math test back and I look at these stupid mistakes that I made wrong, I'll remember those for future tests and I'll be less likely to make those mistakes. So learning from those past mistakes will help you so much. I do a double column notes for my social studies classes. On the left side, you just do this the topic of the slideshow, the header on whatever side you're taking notes on, and then you write all the details. That way when you're studying and you're looking for a topic, it's so much easier to find because you just look at the left side. They're all there. I highlight vocab words and then I underline just important things. Notes, you just gotta make it fun. You're gonna be I'm Rory Gilmore, I'm on a TV show, I'm just doing my notes and I'm just really smart. That's what I do, and it helps a lot. And also after I take notes, sometimes I just won't highlight anything during class. During my next class, which is student prep, I'll highlight important things. That way I read them again and I see what I need to know and learn and stuff. So that's also a really good tip. Also, just general advice, planner. If you don't have a planner, are you on crack? You got a plan. You guys know I'm a hoe for bullet journaling. If you need a planner, you should bullet journal. They have cheap ones on Amazon, but they also have the nice lecture ones, which is what I use. Okay, so what I would do for a science class. So this year I'm taking chemistry. So what I do is I take all of my notes and I type it up into a study guide. You'll learn real fast, and I'm really big into study guides, so I would do that. I'll show you guys an example of one of my study guides that I've made for chemistry. I like to use Microsoft Word because I have a Windows computer and it just works so much better on my computer than Google Docs. I would print it out, I would highlight things that I don't know and stuff like that. And every science class basically gives you a textbook, so I would read the parts that I don't really get and stuff like that. And I do the practice problems that I don't really understand. And then at the end, there'll be generally a practice test. It's 10 problems. So I'll do those problems, and the ones that I get wrong, I'll look back in the textbook, write stuff about them, and why I got it wrong, what the right answer was, and why. Which really helps you relearn things you got wrong. So then what I would often do is I would just, off the top of my memory, write stuff down from my study guide that I can remember. So after I have this little study guide, I'd go back, I'd look at the stuff that I didn't write down, and I'd add that I think is important. That really helps you condense it in your memory because reading it 7 times, I think, is equivalent to writing it 1 time. So that's really good for your memory and consolidation. And then if your teacher gives you practice tests, self-exams, do those definitely, and just continue to write down things you got wrong, why you got it wrong, and in your little extra review guide that you got of stuff you got wrong, write facts about the subject it was on, stuff like that. The next subject that I have is English. For English, 5 out of 10 times you'll be reading a book, and I know this is just gonna be really hard for you to hear, but you gotta read the book. Currently we're in Slaughterhouse 5. I haven't been doing that, but I'm gonna read it this weekend. I'm gonna grind it out. And generally you have book tests, so book tests, in middle school they're what was the main character's name? But now it's how does the fact that he said the in the sentence represent his immoral feelings? Like, bitch, that's not a question. So, just study for stuff like that. What I'll do is can you guess it? Make a study guide. I'll do chapter by chapter summaries, and I'll either make them up from my head or I'll use like Spark Notes and stuff like that, because let's be honest, if you don't use Spark Notes, you're a weirdo. I'll also do character things. Say what's just a really basic ass book. Your really literary rich book was The Hunger Games, even though it's not going to be that. I'd say like Katniss, I'd like write down things about her, like her beliefs, like what she's done in the book and like how she's helped the story, whatever, and I do that for all of like the main characters. Then I would use Spark Notes as like quiz to just test my information. I'd highlight the study guide a billion times. Okay, essays, my dudes. Essays are generally going to be on that book, so doing that stuff to prep for the book test will help you immensely.
I forgot to say this, but it'll take the frick out of your book. They will normally give you like theme topics for essay, and just look for those. And yes, that is the shrine we have of my brother. Live, love, Zach. Baby boy, we stand.
Use your resources. If you have a sibling, have them just make it sound better. Go to the tutor center if you guys have that. Meet with your teacher during office hours. All of these things are going to make your essay so much better. Do your freaking homework, math. Write down the examples your teacher does, because they're going to do examples. Write them down. What I like to do a lot in my notes is I'll take a different colored pen and I'll write out steps to do the problem that aren't specific to the numbers that was given in this problem. Which that way, if I'm looking back on my notes, I can realize the purpose of why I did what we did. Do all of your math homework. And if you haven't done it, that's a really good study prep for the test. I will normally do all the homework every day it's due, whatever. And then I'll also have like additional practice that you could do. So you could do like, I'm sure there are a whole bunch of other practice problems in your book that aren't assigned. So do the ones that work when prepping for the test. And if you don't know it, like circle it, try to figure it out, call your friend, or go into office hours the next day to ask about it. I will do the final review test. Once I do it, things that I got wrong or didn't get, I'll go back and I'll do practice problems. I'll read the book, see how they did it, stuff like that in general. If you don't get something, ask someone. Next class is language classes. So this is Spanish, French, or whatever. To study for vocab tests, it's not hard. Just go on Quizlet, make a Quizlet. It's not hard. But for like conjugations of verbs, those are always really hard for me. So I'll make charts in my notebook separate from what the teacher gave us, and like rules and steps to follow and like irregular verbs. And Conjugamos is such a good resource for conjugations of like any language verbs. Grammar is such a cornerstone, and if you can't do grammar, you're not going to do well on your future tests. IPAs, IPAs, you probably have them if you take language classes. They're basically those dumbass story or list or all these questions, find these words, interpret the meaning. Those are so freaking hard. Okay, what I do is to work really hard on practice ones with your teacher in class. Take one color, highlighting the keywords, then I'll highlight like supporting details, which is generally like the supporting details section, and then I'll highlight main idea so I can write my main ideas well. And worst case scenario, I end up translating every word for word on the page. Now this is a last resort for me, but sometimes it's just gotta be done, you know? Oh my god, is this rusting? And if you have conversations, basically just practice, practice, practice. Call your friends, practice with them. Use the rubric. If it says to excel, you need to add culture. Talk about culture. Just don't even make it like secretly. Just be like, the culture of the loons was this. Add in the stuff that it says you have to add to exceed expectation. I'll plug stuff into Google Translate backwards to make sure it makes sense. So if I have this paragraph in Spanish, I'll put it into Spanish, translate it to English, and if the English doesn't make sense, then I'll rearrange Spanish words, make it make sense. This might be bad, but I do it and it works most of the time. Our final class subjects, that's social studies. For me, that's AP World and AP Psych, my hardest classes. So this, I have noticed so many of my friends struggling with this class and doing well even though they study for hours and hours and hours. So I will take out all of my notes and type them into a study guide. I will make this concise, I will make it make sense, and then I will print it out. And this study guide is probably going to get printed out and revised 15 times. I'll print it out once, I'll highlight things, I'll mark with my pen, like stuff to make it more sense. I'll highlight stuff that's important in one color, stuff that I don't know in the other color, and I'll basically just do that.
The way I described it didn't really make any sense. So the topic here is Genghis Khan. So he was born into a noble family. His dad died from poison. He successfully made all of the Mongolian tribes like one confederation, stuff like that. I would say it, and then I would highlight stuff that I missed.
But after I do that, I'll print it out. I'll just highlight it normally a couple times. I'll add annotations. I'll print it out again. I'll do a method where I have to summarize the term or the object of what's the subtitle, and I have to talk about it and make sure I get it right. Then after I do that a couple times, I'll generally FaceTime my friend Grace. Are we surprised? No. But we'll go through the packet and we'll ask each other stimulus-based questions that we make up on the spot from the packet to get the other to answer. And if the other person doesn't know something, we'll explain it. If you have a friend in that class, definitely FaceTime them. It helps. I will make Venn diagrams. Say like I am studying 3 different empires. So I'll put in similarities off the top of my head, and I'll look back and I'll put in more in different colors to make sure I recognize what I didn't already know. And this really helps me just like sort the differences and which came first and how they're different, stuff like that. Also, what I like to do, my teacher introduced us to this method. So for each chapter, you pull out 5 important things and you write it down. If I miss something, like I'll be like, oh damn, that's important, I'll write it down. Remember it? Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is studying for finals. Finals are coming up. For me, they're after winter break, which is kind of an L, but also kind of nice. Remember that if you get anxious during class, like during finals, which are generally a lot longer, for us, they're 2-hour blocks every day. Talk to the social worker and be like, can I take finals in a different room? If that will help your score, then that's really important. That's what I'm going to do this year, because my math final last year, I just flipped because I was so anxious that he wouldn't let me pee, and it was 2 hours, and I almost cried. I actually did cry. A lot of times, kids will make Quizlets for final study guides, so use those. And make just one giant study guide of everything you have to know. Like, that's definitely what I would do. And make flashcards of terms that you have to know. That's pretty much all for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. These tips actually did help me go from literally getting C-minuses to A's on my tests. So if you guys are struggling with how much you just work so hard, but you just don't get the grade you want, that happened to me, and then I figured these methods out, and it worked really well. So I suggest you guys do that. Good luck on all your tests, all your finals, whatever. Bye. I love you.